Oh, there it is. Would half, what should be half of that would be enough for the chooks, or I reckon that's too extreme?
The chooks can do what are you doing?
Oh, I'm just zooming in, have a look.
We're coming up closer. I won't hurt you. Nothing to be scared of.
Except somebody's kick. Oh, this house has changed a lot since I've been here last. Look at that. Chooks to galore. So, don't make any noise, or?
I'll clack a bit when they lay eggs. You remember a bit of noise.
Yeah. So where do you get the eggs? We have to pick them up, do you?
They lay in that's where they sleep.
So do you reckon you can keep these in the city or not?
What's that?
Do you reckon you can keep these in the city as well?
You can keep them in the city.
The chooks?
We are in the city. This is Sydney.
Is it?
Yeah. You're allowed to keep one in Sydney. You're allowed to keep 10 chooks in your yard, as long as you keep them clean.
So you have to have a special permit, or?
No.
Why? You really need it. So you save a lot of money on eggs, do you? You save money on the eggs as well?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it cheaper this way, or?
Sorry?
Is it cheaper this way?
Not really, because it costs you a fair bit to set things up. You know. It cost over $1,000 to put up your chook house in your fence and buy your chooks.
But
$1,000.
but once you got it all set up, will it pay for itself?
Yes, it will. Yeah.
And you can hear them, can't you?
They lay every day. We get 4 eggs every day.
4 eggs every day. So 1 per chook.
Yeah. They're the spuds there. See?
Yeah, you can see, I can see, yeah. How's it tasted for them to grow?
Oh, they've been about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And they'll probably won't be picked until January, February. About 5 months they take before you can dig them.
They don't sound happy, do they?
What's that?
The chooks don't sound happy, do they?
Oh, they're chooks.
Well, we got ones at church at Greenvale, so they're very quiet. These ones are very vocal ones.
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah. What are they keeping the chooks at church?
Yeah.
Who looks after them?
Pastor Lowen Pratt looks after them.
Oh, they're his chooks.
Yeah, he's chooks, yeah.
Oh, does he live there?
No, he lives somewhere else. He just keeps chooks there. He's got a lot of chook hens. Chook houses there up there.
That's interesting. Interested in chooks, eh?
And they just use it for chook manure.
He said. Is there any roosters among them?
No.
No.
But do you reckon if you put a rooster there, do you reckon they'll probably breed?
Of course they would. All chooks will breed if they got a rooster. And if you walk out here, you've got to watch where you walk.
Why is that?
Because there's chook poo. They walk out in and walk. We let them out and they run around. And you'll find little bits of chook poo everywhere. See, there's a bit there.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, there's a bit there.
Chook yucca.
Tread on that, it'll get all over the bottom of your boot and you'll tread it into the house. So just be careful where you walk.
Won't be good, eh?
Hmm?
And you reckon aeroplane people won't appreciate chook poo in their plane, would they?
Okay. And
Yeah. And do you reckon they get, do you reckon they're due to lay egg now?
This is a beehive.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but no bees in it, not yet. We're hoping to catch a swarm in the next few weeks. Put them in it.
Are you going to have them swarm here?
Well, they may come in here, yeah. So if you wake up in the morning, see that hole there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wake up in the morning and find a bee sitting on the end of your nose. You'll know there's bees here.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be a good idea. Yeah. Oh.
See those?
So, you've now investigated the chooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're called hippiasters.
Really, yeah. But our house in Sunbury has hardly no flowers at all. No colour at all.
Well, you should put some. That's something you could do, Stu, is learn to garden.
Yeah.
Learn to garden. Just make a little garden at first, just a little one, and put some stuff in and watch it grow. That's something of very good interest for you. It'll fascinate you. Once you get used to it, you do it all the time. You like it so much.
And is that for summer? And what's that? What's under that green thing? What's that?
Sorry?
What's that green thing there?
That's a tarp. That's covering a pool.
You go in there, do you?
It's been there since April. But we'll take it off soon. When the weather gets a bit warmer, we'll rip that off.
And how long has
swim in there.
how long's the pool been there for?
Well, about 32 years. Ever since we've been here, it's been there.
So it's been there since the house has been built.
Yep.
And was that your decision to put it there, or was it the builders?
No, builders don't make decisions like that. We do it if we want a pool, that's what we do.
Get her out of the house. Rightio.
For this long?
No way, no, I didn't. We've never lived anywhere much for a long time, but when we moved in here and we bought the house, we thought, well, we better hang around, eh? Okay, you've seen the books.
So when did you buy? Here is my aerial. And here is some bees. And then we write the heart of the matter. in Sydney Harbour, walking around the city, and there you are, Sydney Harbour Bridge over there.
Circular Quay.
Circular Quay, yeah.
Tourists.
Lots of tourists. And lots of people with cameras. Oh, this is how I want to. Where's Des? Wow, I'm enjoying myself in Sydney. What a lovely start going to visit this magnificent place. I think there's some Sydney buildings. Here I am in Sydney. Yeah. Nice lovely spot around here. Behind me is the Opera House as well. Yeah. I never thought I'd come back to this place again. Really, I didn't. But I'm here again. And the old famous Opera House. So where are we heading off to now? Museum or?
Suburb called the Rocks.
Okay, how far are we there? How far are we from there?
Life sport.
Oh, this is a beautiful spot in Australia, isn't it? This is a place that makes Australia, Australia. So Sydney. I reckon it's probably enough.
We go there. We have school concerts there 4 times a year. The Opera House. choice that I felt you would really like.
Caution, watch your head. Oh,
This might be more to what we want.
tell you, shocking old steps. Oh, shocking old steps there. Oh, flaming hell.
So you take a seat over there.
Yeah.
In 1973, most of the people who lived in the rocks were
Sit over
working
here.
class,
Yeah.
young labourers and their families, and retired people had once been labourers. They worked in various different jobs around the city on building sites, in factories, or on the walls. Some families had lived in the rocks for 6 generations. These were what Australians called battlers, battling to earn a living, battling to support themselves and their children. But few of them reckoned on the battle they would fight in the spring of 1973. This was the battle for the rocks. The seeds of this struggle were laid a decade earlier. As Sydney rode the post-war boom of the 1960s, and investment capital poured in, the call for the city to be modernised gathered momentum. The AMP building was the first of the high-rise office blocks, which, as one observer put it, deflowered the virgin purity of the skyline. By then, the Opera House, which would eventually compete with the bridge as Sydney's favourite icon, was well underway. Then there was this. In January 1964, after 4 years of deliberations, James Wallace Proprietary Limited published the redevelopment scheme for the rocks, which had won them the government's long-running competition for ideas. In these boom years of the 1960s, historical consciousness was just beginning, and some applauded the Wallace scheme's attempt to preserve history, indicated in the following remarks.
It has been thought appropriate that the preservation of Cadman's cottage and its use as a small memorial museum of early Australian history would be of value. It is proposed to dismantle the cottage and to re-erect it in a park formed at the lower end of York Street. This feature will form a subtle link with history without aggravating the problems of physical planning.
By the mid-1960s, a generation of flower children and anti-Vietnam activists had claimed the streets for themselves, and the Wallace scheme, like so many others before it, faded away, at least for a while. Then in 1967, promoted by a state government, led by Conservative Premier Robert Askin, still vigorously selling the message of modernisation, the plan was revamped, revitalised and resold to the public. The new scheme for the rocks was estimated to take 15 years to build, and to administer this, the government created the Sydney Cove Redevelopment Authority.
You'll know that it's an area of old warehouses, factories, many of them in fact built in the century. There is a large number of old deserted building sites where buildings have been knocked down, old corrugated iron and rusting fences and weeds and so forth. And of course there are some historical buildings there too. But by and large it's a rather depressing area and not really suitable as an entry for the city of Sydney.
But as the bulldozers moved in, other changes sweeping the society were soon to help bring them to a halt. Women taking to the streets demanding equal rights to pay and work. and Aborigines demanding land rights joined the protests. Unions placed green bans to prevent work on building sites which evicted working-class people or damaged the environment. The era of environmental consciousness was being born.
There are many thousands of people throughout this community who have expressed their gratitude.
Demands for public accountability were growing, the boom was slowing, and the city's residents were discovering new and powerful allies in their battle.
They can do something about the environment in which they live.
I went through the phone book and found, different unions and just addressed the letters to the secretary of a union. And the one I found was the Builders Labourers Federation, and I didn't know who they were, so we just sent a letter off to them addressed to the secretary. And of about 30 odd letters, that was the only reply we got back was from the Builders Labourers Federation of New South Wales.
The Builders Labourers Federation was already taking on the developers with its green bans, and its federal secretary, Jack Mundy, was keen to support the residents of the Rocks.
An essential thing that the residents put forward is this, that there must be, in all this city area, provision for working class people, for people of low and middle incomes to be able to reside in the area. It's not much good winning a 35-hour week if we're going to choke to death in planless and polluted cities where rents are too high, where ordinary people can't live. There will never ever be any reconstruction, any rejuvenation, regeneration of this area until such time as the residents receive ironclad guarantees that people in the low income brackets, workers, can afford to live in these areas.
There's two Builders Labourers in here, that's all. We're here as officials, and the rest of the people are in.
You're arresting.
That's all right, that's all right. It's not my group, I don't like the law.
In 1973, as the battle for the Rocks heated up, a people's plan for redevelopment was drawn up, and union support widened.
Surely our members are not animals. We simply regarded as people that pull things down and put things up, irrespective of what effect that has on the community at large. And it seems to me that a very old and historic area of Sydney that has traditionally housed low-income earners, we shouldn't be calling upon to destroy.
The result was to be something of a compromise. Some call this the sacrificial zone, but the new has helped pay for the preservation of the old. North of the Cairn Expressway, when union bans were lifted in 1975, much of this historic battleground was to be preserved, but few of the battlers remained. Nevertheless, the battle for the Rocks was a crucial turning point in which Sydney-siders and others developed a much greater awareness of their city's history.
In 1880, Sydney began to pave its major streets with wood. By the early 20th century, Sydney had the largest area of wood-blocked roadway in the world. George Street was the first road built in Australia in 1788, but road-making methods were rather primitive to begin with. For its first 100 years, George Street threw up clouds of choking dust when it was dry, and it became a muddy quagmire in the wet, even though it was constantly maintained. Other streets could become impassable. By the 1870s, Sydney's roads could not cope with the increasing traffic and heavy loads. So experiments began with new materials and methods. Stone paving, for example, was found to be too noisy, very hard on horses, and expensive. Steel-covered wheels and iron horseshoes cut into materials used to surface roads, including asphalt. Woodblocks were the most effective, and they were laid in Sydney from 1880. By 1900, the major streets in the CBD were woodblocked. At the Dawes Point end of George Street, different laying patterns were tried. Australian Class 1 hardwoods laid in stretcher bond pattern was found to be the best method. Woodblock paving was not pioneered in Australia and had been used overseas since the 1830s, but with only limited success due to the cold, wetter climates and the use of softwoods like Baltic pine. Softwoods absorb liquids like oil, causing them to rot and give off a putrid smell, which people believed caused disease. Softwoods also froze and cracked in winter. After proving their worth in Sydney and Melbourne, Australian hardwoods, especially Jarrah and Kari, were imported and successfully used on the streets in Paris and London. After the woodblocks were laid, the roads didn't require major maintenance for 5 years, and the woodblocked roads had an estimated life of 16 years. Bluestone pavers were laid on intersections to provide traction for horses and carts as they rounded corners, but they quickly wore and were soon replaced with woodblocks. Here, at the corner of George and Gloucester Streets, you can see what they looked like. Strips of stone were laid down the centre of the road to stop the trams shaking the woodblocks loose. Woodblocks worked because they weren't very noisy, were durable, produced little dust, and could be easily cleaned. Hygiene was a problem with other materials because they collected more mud and horse droppings, but wooden streets could be washed and disinfected. The council employed teenagers as block boys to sweep up rubbish and horse droppings. They became nicknamed sparrow starvers because the horse dung contains grass seeds that the birds ate. During the Great Depression, kids discovered they made great firewood and loose woodblocks began to disappear. Redundant woodblocks were supplied to charitable institutions and others in need. The last woodblocks were laid in Sydney in the 1930s. As motorised vehicles and the pneumatic tyre became popular, asphalt became the preferred road surface. Some woodblocks were relaid in lanes and back streets, but not all were removed. In some places, like George Street in the Rocks, they were covered with asphalt and still remain. During footpath widening works in 2006, woodblocks were found under the George Street road surface. They were in very good condition and had only worn 10 millimetres, even though they were laid more than 80 years ago. Unfortunately, the woodblocks could not be left exposed for public viewing because of their depth below today's road surface, so they were reburied in order to preserve them. Because of this, the Sydney Harbour Foreshore Authority has installed replica woodblocks in one of the original locations on George Street. The method used was devised using the evidence from the woodblocks discovered close by and the original council records for woodblocking. The materials have been changed to environmentally responsible substitutes. The timbers that used to be used in Sydney were Class 1 hardwoods like red gum, blackbuck and Australian mahogany. We have used recycled grey ironbark and cut it to the original size. The blocks used to be dipped in boiling hot coal tar by hand and then passed from man to man to be laid immediately. It was a hot, dirty job, and the workers would breathe in the vapours. Coal tar has several problems. It is carcinogenic, for example, so an emulsion that produces the same results has been substituted.
Alright, so basically what I'm doing, I'm just going to dip these paving stones in emulsion, and I've been dropping this bucket for a while these guys stack it just on these wooden rods to dry in the sun. We're quite lucky to be using this emulsion because back in the day they used to use hot tar, and this is actually at room temperature. It still works perfectly. It's also more environmentally friendly than tar is. So you can imagine back in the 20s and 30s when they're doing this, it would have been a lot more difficult.
When the road surface was taken off, the outlines of the older woodblocks, removed years before, could still be seen in the concrete base. The blocks were laid in stretcher bond pattern and some were cut to fit on site. The emulsion was then painted over the top. Originally, the woodblocks would be coated with tar, sand and screenings to provide traction for horses. When the woodblocks were complete, an interpretive panel was installed to inform people about the history of George Street and the woodblocks.
It's Sydney's most important icon. The opening of the bridge in 1932 was to change Sydney forever. While it provided an essential road link between the northern and southern shores of the harbour, it was also to provide a unique symbol to the city. For the Rocks, the construction of the bridge was to have enormous consequences. In 1925, as work began on the foundations, one observer described the scene as being something like the Battle of the Somme. It was an ominous sign. The bridge's southern approaches cut a swathe through the already embattled rocks. Whole streets would disappear, and many fine houses would be demolished. Amongst those who lost their homes was Theo Lang, who was born in the Rocks. He talks about the people who lived in the area.
Well, there were seafaring people that came in from overseas, decided to settle here, or got rooms with people who were already here. As a matter of fact, this area was known as Little Island because it was practically all Irish people. They were Irish and Scandinavian, being shipping people. And when the bridge was built, they became handy employment on that particular type of thing. Not only as in the trade as seafaring people, but also in the normal trade as labourers, because they needed labour in the wharves and the roadways, all the construction that had to be done. And there was a hell of a lot of it. And some of them who had experience as riveters or engineers, cooking rivets and riveting other parts, and they were working on this bridge, but they would cook rivets at one level, and when they were ready, they'd throw them up to something like 20 feet up high. They would capture them in kerosene tin, half a kerosene tin cover, pull them out with a tong, shove them in the hole, pick up the rivet and go and
See that?
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
While the demolition meant eviction for those like Theo, for others the bridge was soon to become known as their iron lung, providing work and wages to breathe new life into the Rocks. But what kind of bridge to choose had rattled New South Wales politicians for years. In 1903, following 2 competitions and 36 proposals, a bridge was chosen. The winning design by J. Stewart and Company linked Dawes Point to McMahon's Point, but it was never built. A change in government and then the Great War meant that plans for a harbour crossing were to be shelved for 2 decades. Meanwhile, the ferries remained the only way of making the journey. It was not until 1922 that the Sydney Harbour Bridge Act was passed, and the design of Dr. John Bradfield accepted. Dorman Long and Company from Middleborough, England, won the tender to build the largest arch bridge in the world. It was estimated to cost almost £4.25 million. The 1,400 men employed to build it would become amongst the highest paid workers in the nation. And so they should have been. Their jobs, despite all the safety precautions, were still dangerous.
Look how dangerous that is.
Working up to 440 feet above sea level, often in ghostly conditions.
Particularly in high winds, you have to watch yourself. Because one little blow and you're gone. And if it was raining at any time, it probably wouldn't work, of course, and down we'd come. There was one incident, John might tell you about the dangers of the job. One fellow was working just above us, or I'd say about 20 feet away, might be 10 feet. We were underneath on the stage underneath, talking about the job we had to rivet. And I just seen the thing go past me, and I thought it was a bag of bolts. And by the time we looked over, we'd just seen a splash, and then I heard commotion up above, and I just woke up that it must have been a man over there.
By 1932, when the bridge was opened, 16 workers had lost their lives. cost had more than doubled to £10 million, and the builders, Dorman Long and Company, were to go bankrupt. But nothing could dampen the spirits of Sydney-siders, who saw the bridge not just as a great engineering triumph, but a symbol of what the country could achieve. Amongst those who marched on that day were the workers, many of them from the rocks, for whose future now looked bleak. For the next 5 years, they would join the queues of the unemployed, struggling to survive until the end of the Great Depression. But their work on the bridge and that of its designers is always remembered by Sydney-siders and the residents of the rocks.
What does everybody say? It's the bridge that we've been waiting for. Like the giant of steel and lost the ring that real. Doesn't it make you feel you love old Sydney more? Right across the dear old harbour, there's an ever open door. Australian sunflower, it's the bridge we've been waiting for.
Okay.
This was the battle for the rocks. The seeds of this struggle were laid a decade earlier. As Sydney rode the post-war boom of the 1960s, and investment capital poured in, the call for the city to be modernised gathered momentum. The AMP building was the first of the high-rise office blocks, which, as one observer put it, deflowered the virgin purity of the skyline. By then, the Opera House, which would eventually compete with the bridge as Sydney's favourite icon, was well underway. Then, there was this. In January 1964, after 4 years of deliberations, James Wallace Property Limited published the redevelopment scheme for the rocks, which was
all the time, at one time. Heavy drinking by the 1850s. There were more than 50 pubs in the area in just this little rock centre.
Oh, hell.
That's how it was known.
Just people drinking grog.
That took 3 months to get here. Chinese, American, Japanese, Portuguese. Aboriginal people who lived here in the rocks, they started to nick off from the area because there's too many other Europeans here. So this big church is right next to the town hall. Church, Irish church. It's been
I'm standing right in front of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Behind the Sydney Harbour Bridge, well, I highlighted my trip. Yeah. Behind me, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, built in 1932. Yeah, it's a real highlight for my trip as well, all the way from Melbourne.
There's 3 videos, there's about 200 photos.
look close, you probably see the cars and trucks going on the bridge today.
No, it's just trying.
So you can invite somebody. Yeah. It's on at 8 o'clock at night, so they will stay overnight. Yeah.
Apa itu kita ni apni photo aja.
Here I am standing at Sydney Harbour Bridge. I'm sorry, Sydney Harbour, Sydney Opera House, right behind me here. So, pretty thrilling experience to be here once again since I was here last year. Very, very nice spot. See? So turn around and Sydney Harbour Bridge right behind me as well. Yeah. Where I've just been as well. Yeah. Inside one of the shells of the Opera House. Yeah.
That's where it's really spectacular to see out over the harbour. But they've got it blocked off, so just come out here.
Here we are, back outside again.
Well, they won't let us in. You can't look up, you can't go in any further.
Luna Park. Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's the end of the tour.
Okay, what we should do is walk right around the tip there. That's where you can see.
Ah, copper boat. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Yeah, that's it. Jam it in there.